Hi, we meet again. So, everyone, as we head into 2026, I've been reflecting on how much software engineering has changed in just the last year. AI coding assistants have gone from being cool novelties to absolute game changers. But here is the hard truth that I've learned after a year of heavy use. These tools are not magic buttons. They are powerful, but they are also difficult and unintuitive if you don't know how to handle them. If you just treat them like a slot machine, pulling the lever and hoping for code, you're going to get a mess. But if you treat the LLM as a talented but junior pair program that requires clear direction and oversight, it's a superpower. So today, I'm going to walk you through my exact coding workflow for 2026. This is the disciplined approach I am using to leverage AI aggressively while staying in complete control of the software that I ship. Planning over prompting. The biggest mistake I see, and the one that I used to make, is diving straight into code generation with a vague prompt. You cannot just throw wishes at an LLM. My workflow now starts with a spec first approach. Before a single line of code is written, I brainstorm with the AI to create a detailed specification file. I describe my idea and I actually instruct the LLM to ask me questions until we have fleshed out every requirement and edge case. We compile this into a spec.md file. This document holds the requirements, the architecture decisions, the data models, and the testing strategy. This is the foundation. Once that spec is locked in, I feed it into a reasoning capable model and then ask it to generate a project plan. I want a step by step breakdown of these tasks. It's essentially like doing a waterfall planning phase, but it only takes 15 minutes. This ensures that when we start generating code, both the human and the AI know exactly what we are building and why. Second phase, chunking and iteration. Once we have a plan, strictly managing the scope. Do not ask the AI to build the app. This is a recipe for disaster. I break the work into small iterative chunks, bite sized tasks. Implement one function, fix one bug, add one feature. I prompt the model, hey, okay, so let's implement step 1 from our plan. We code it, we test it, and only then do we move to step 2. This prevents the model from hallucinating a jumbled mess of code where 10 different developers seem to have worked on it without talking to each other. By iterating in small loops, I can keep the context clean and catch errors immediately. Context is king. Now let's talk about context. LLMs are only as good as the information you give them. You have to context pack. When I'm working on a specific task, I don't just ask for a solution. I dump the relevant parts of my code base, the technical constraints, and even the documentation for any libraries I'm using into the chat. There are tools that automate this, effectively dumping your repo structure into a text file for the LLM to digest. I also use skills. These are reusable instructions or prompt packages. For example, I have a specific front-end design skill that I use to ensure the AI doesn't default to that generic purple UI we see everywhere. I'm packing the prompt with everything the model needs so it doesn't keep guessing. It's executing based on the facts. Choosing the right tool. So we are spoiled for choice with models in 2025 and 2026 onwards. So part of my job is knowing which model to hire for which task. They all have personalities. If one model is getting stuck or being giving me like mediocre code, I play model musical chairs, or like has Karpati has a LLM council. So I'll copy the exact same prompt to a different model to see if it handles the logic better. I often use one model for the heavy lifting of coding because I like its vibe and reasoning, but I'll swap to another for a second opinion or a code review. Don't be loyal to one AI. Use the best tool for the specific job at hand. Human in the loop, which involves testing and review. This is the most crucial part of this video that we have today. AI will happily produce code that looks correct but is completely broken. You must keep a human, you, in the loop. The rule is never blindly trust the output. I treat every AI generated snippet as if it came from an overconfident intern. I read through it and most probably I test it. I weave testing into the workflow. In my planning phase, I generate a testing plan. When the AI writes code, I immediately have it run the tests. If they fail, I feed the errors logs back into the AI to fix. This tight feedback loop, right test fix, is where AI excels. I also use AI for reviews. I often have the AI write the code and then open a separate session with a different model and say, review this code for errors or security flaws. It's amazing what a second AI set of eyes will catch. 6. Version control as a safety net. Because we are moving so fast, version control is your saving point. I commit way more often than I used to, and after every small AI task that works, I commit. This gives me a checkpoint. If the AI goes off the rails on the next prompt and ruins the code base, I can just git reset and try again. I also use Git branches and work trees to isolate AI experiments. If I want to try a bold refactor, I spin up a new branch, let the AI go wild, and if it fails, I just delete the branch. No harm done. 7. Customizing behavior. Finally, stop accepting default behavior. You can customize these tools. I use rule files, often called claude.md, or system instructions that live in my repository. These files, so they tell the AI use four spaces for indentation, or prefer functional programming, or don't use this specific deprecated library. I will also use priming. So if I want a function written in a specific style, I'll show the AI an existing function from my code base and say, write the new function to match this style. LLMs are incredible mimics. If you show them what you want, they will follow your lead. So as we conclude, as we move deeper into 2026, my philosophy is AI augmented engineering and not AI automated engineering. The human engineer is still the director of the show. All of our classic disciplines, planning, testing, version control, are actually more important now than they were before. The AI is an incredible force multiplier, but it relies on your judgment to work effectively. So stay in the loop, keep your standards high, and use these tools to build better software faster. Thanks for watching and happy building.